Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Addison, also known as Addy Aviator on YouTube. I'm a real world pilot as well as an avid flight simmer. Got my private pilot's license back in September of last year and currently working on my instrument rating. I've had my fair share of ATC in real life and in Vatsim because I fly out of a Class Delta airport during my flight training, so got to talk to ATC literally every step of the way. So I know a thing or two about ATC. That's why I thought it'd be a great idea to make this video, because when I do my live streams, I have quite a lot of people in my audience that are really interested in Vatsim. They just don't really know where to start or what it's like or how realistic it is. I'm here to show you guys what it's all about. So if you're in that boat, come join me. I'm gonna give you the ins and outs of Vatsim. Let's go. All right guys, so let's just go ahead and get right into the video. First thing I'm gonna say about Vatsim is they take it very seriously. Now this could be a good thing and a bad thing. First, I'm gonna go over how it could be a bad thing. So as I mentioned before, I started flight simming in Vatsim before I started real world aviation training, so I didn't really know what I was doing when I first started. So I downloaded the network, got into my first flight, and immediately got banned. So basically what happened was I didn't have the correct frequency tuned, and so I couldn't hear the controller. And because I couldn't hear him, I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to take off on my own. And I did, and he reported me for not contacting him back and taking off by myself, and I got banned. Now you're probably asking yourself, how can that be a good thing? And the reason is, if you really think about it, it keeps out all of the not so realistic aspects of it. Like, so if someone's messing around or just not knowing what they're doing and making it a hazardous environment for the other people that are flight simming and trying to take it realistic, they're gone. In my 2 years now of flying on Vatsim, I have not ran into a single problem where someone's messing around. So that's the reason it can be good, because they're going to take away all the issues that would make it unenjoyable. So it's going to be a very enjoyable experience because of how realistic it is and how there's really zero tolerance for messing around. Now, since they take it so seriously, everything is true to life. So they use all real world procedures. Everything you hear on Vatsim, you will also hear in real life, and vice versa. So I'm going to play a real quick recording of a real life ATC craft clearance. Craft clearance is basically just when you're getting cleared to fly to an airport. So they're clearing your flight plan. I'm going to play a real life clip, and then I'm going to play a clip from one of my streams where I'm getting a craft clearance on Vatsim, and you guys compare the two. They're identical.
Echo clearance, Southwest 2031, link to pick up clearance to Nashville with Sierra.
Southwest 2031, Egan clearance cleared to Nashville, south on Approach Tower, heading Commerce 83,000. Take flight level 2801, 0 minutes after departure, departure frequency 125.1, 1207, take 0.
Southwest 2031, cleared to Nashville asphalt, runway heading on departure 3000, 280 and 10, 125.1, 0760, port spot.
Alright, clear to Toronto via the Newark 5 departure, Gale transition. Climb via SID, expect 420, 10 minutes after departure. Departure was on 123.12, squawk 3323.
Alright guys, so as you just heard, it is completely realistic. Now, because of this, it actually helped me so much in my real life flight training once I actually started to learn a little bit what I was doing. I would actually go as far to say it was my #1 study tool out of everything, like the practice tests and the videos that I watched and even the ground lessons with my instructor. Vatsim was the #1 thing in my flight training, believe it or not. So the main problem that people have with talking to ATC is just stage fright. If you've never talked to ATC before in real life or in Vatsim, even in Vatsim you get it. The first time you log on to Vatsim and you go to press that push to talk button, you are going to be nervous. It's a guarantee. So what Vatsim does, if you want to say be a real world pilot, is it kind of lets you get those nerves off, because let's face it, Vatsim is a lot less at stake than talking to a real world controller. You don't have to really worry as much. And as I just said, you're still going to get nervous, but it's not going to be as much. You don't have anything to lose. So Vatsim is perfect for just getting comfortable talking to ATC. Now, you could also watch videos and do all that kinds of stuff, but actually talking the words and saying them and listening to, all right, what am I going to hear here and what am I going to have to say back? That's what really helps me the most, and I guarantee would help you guys too if you're planning on being a real pilot. Now, the title of the video is How Realistic is Vatsim? I can't even go any further than to say yes. My answer is yes. It it's real life. It is true to life. So I can't even really go any further into that. But what I can go into is the things you might get a little bit annoyed about in VATSIM. Just a fair warning, basically. It's not really always accessible, because the whole thing with the network is you have controllers and you have pilots. Now, the controllers are not 24/7 going to be online. That's the issue I have here. I find more evenings from like 5 to 9ish is when they're most online. You're gonna have here and there when they're online at like noon and stuff like that, but the chances of you having a fully staffed like flight plan from departure to center to approach and then to like say tower at your arrival airport, very slim, especially like during the day. So the most chance you're going to have a fully staffed ATC is going to be at night, because like I said, the real people, they decide when they want to get online. It's not like a scheduled thing. So there's this tool called VATSpy. Now I'll pull it up right here. Basically what VATSpy is it tells you, it's a full map of the entire world, because VATSIM is not just a US thing, it's an entire globe. It's around the globe. And it tells you what controller is online at what airport, and it also tells you every single plane that is online. It gives you a full radar of every single plane that's in the air. And this updates in real time. You can even see yourself on it, and you can see details of every airport. So you can just type in the top, Chicago Midway. It's going to bring up like how many departures from the airport, the controllers that are on, what times the departures and arrivals are going to be at. VATSpy is a great tool, and it is a must-have if you're planning on flying on VATSIM. All right, so as I mentioned before, the odds of you getting a fully staffed flight pretty much at any time are pretty slim. It can happen, but I've had so many times where I take off and I go to VATSpy, I pick a departure airport that is fully staffed with ATC, and I pick an arrival airport that is fully staffed with ATC. I'm going to say about 70% of the time, by the time that you get to your arrival airport, ATC is already logged off. Because think about it, these flights are like real life times. So to get from, say, my local airports in Florida to Chicago, it's going to take a full 2.5, 3-ish hours. And the controls aren't really going to be on for that long, you know? They're going to be on for, some of them can go 3 hours, but it really depends. And like I said, they're humans. They decide when they want to be on and off. So the only bad thing about it is it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to have it. You can always just say switch to a different airport and stuff like that, but it kind of takes the immersion away from it. Okay, so at this part of the video, we're going to kind of get into, is VATSIM for you? Now, from my personal opinion, I would say if you are sick and tired of the Microsoft Flight Simulator base ATC, which is absolutely horrible, and you want to get a little more immersion, or if you're training to be a real-world pilot or want to be a real-world pilot, it's a great training resource. Now, if you don't want to be a real pilot and you still want to use VATSIM, that is completely fine. There's people on VATSIM that are not pilots and don't really have any interest of being a pilot. They just find it as a little hobby. That's completely fine, because as I mentioned, and I'm sure you know, if you're even looking this video up, the Microsoft Flight Simulator ATC is horrible. I don't know about like X-Plane and stuff, but Flight Sim ATC, not good. And it is 10 times better. If this is the reason that you're looking into VATSIM because you just want to replace the Microsoft Flight Simulator ATC, 100% go for it. At least try it, but I know for a fact you're going to like it 10 times better. So if you decided that VATSIM is for you, perfect. But it can be a little intimidating. As I said before, I did get banned on my first flight. I did get my account back, and so don't be super intimidated, because there's always, it's not a make or break thing. Like it's going to be fine in the end. But with that being said, you kind of do have to know a little bit about ATC and about aviation. So the number one thing I can say is, and I've also said this to a lot of people that watch my streams that ask about it, is there's this app, and I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not sponsored by this app at all. This is just what I use to help me out. It's called Plain English. I'll pull it up on the screen right here. It's a great app. I know there's a paid subscription, but there's also some stuff that you could do for free. I didn't ever pay for it. I just did the free stuff, and even that helped me a bunch. Now, one major part of ATC is the photonic alphabet. That's what every pilot's use. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, for example, and so on. You're going to have to learn that, and Plain English is a great way to do that. The way I learned it actually was just to go onto Google and type in photonic alphabet and then just look at it for hours straight. It took me 1 day to learn everything. I looked at it for maybe 2 hours, just recited Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, blah, 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 so on. And I got it. Now, that's one thing you got to know. And then another thing you got to know is just the basic understanding of what ground is, what tower is, what approach is. There's what everything does, and then what you can expect to hear from them. And plain English is a great way to do that. Guys, I also want to mention that if you're still intimidated, I totally understand that, but I feel like Vatsim is so great that everyone who wants to be able to do it should be able to do it. So because of that, I'm going to be making a series on the beginning of Vatsim to the end of Vatsim. So first episode, for example, downloading Vatsim. Second episode, creating a flight plan for Vatsim. Third episode, talking to clearance, and so on. So it's going to be a full flight, basically, of Vatsim, and it's going to be broken into episodes. That way you can digest it, learn something, and then maybe it'll make you feel more confident on getting yourself into the network. Going back to the main mission statement of this video, thumbnail, title, everything, is Vatsim realistic coming from a real-world pilot? Absolutely it is. If you're looking to get into Vatsim to, like I said before, replace the Microsoft Flight Simulator ATC, go for it. If you're getting into Vatsim for your flight training, go for it. It's absolutely perfect. I will recommend it to anyone. That's why I'm saying such good things about it, because it truly is great. The only bad thing I could say in the entire video was that you're not always guaranteed a controller because they get offline. So all in all, Vatsim is absolutely wonderful, and I think that is one of the best Microsoft Flight Simulator like add-ons or programs that you can get. If you guys have any questions at all, do not be afraid to drop them in the comment section. I will answer every single question that I could, and definitely join me on one of my streams if you're still worried about it, because I talk to Vatsim on every single stream, and you can definitely learn a thing or two, and then you can even talk to me in there and I'll answer all your questions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really do, and if you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe. Really appreciate it, and I will see you guys later.